So guys, you see what this video today is all about. Alien Rogue Incursion is finally upon us. Well, part 1 is. Apparently there's multiple parts and I 1000% have some thoughts. Welcome to the simulation inside the simulation. I am Tooodamngolden, your VR Voyager, and today we're going to be taking a look at Survios' AAA IP, Alien Rogue Incursion, and deciding if this is something you should play, buy today, or stay away from altogether. Alien Rogue Incursion sees gamers playing as Colonial Marine Zula Hendrix, who fans of the Alien comics already know, who alongside her synthetic counterpart Davis is on a mission to uncover the dark truths behind the mystery of the corporation-ran planet Perdan. And from an atmosphere/vibe perspective, Alien Rogue Incursion is 100% an alien experience through and through, with every flicker of light, every sound, and every rounding of a corner leaving you feeling on edge, perhaps not to the same degree of Alien Isolation, but nonetheless, I will like to say that the devs absolutely killed it in this regard. But ripping the band-aid off here, for those of you who were anticipating something of a similar ilk to the Mother VR Alien Isolation mod, you may be just a bit disappointed, as while there are horror elements present with this one, first and foremost, this is a narrative-driven action shooter, albeit a nice one to look at, as visually speaking, outside of combat instances, which I'll touch on in just a bit here, Alien Rogue Incursion provides very nice and detailed environments for you to explore, with a ton of care being put into making this one feel truly next gen. And while there is the occasionally jagged edge here or there, or the terrifying appearance of the synthetics, which truthfully was more than likely an aesthetic decision to add to the overall atmosphere, the visuals, again sans combat, are very smooth and fluid, so a big kudos to Survios for that. And also for again creating an overall eerie vibe very much in line with Alien Isolation that really does feel at home in the Alien universe, with there being a nice blend of incorporating both futuristic sci-fi technology with that grittiness that 80s horror films provided, especially seen in films like Aliens 1 and 2 or the Predator series, that should have longtime fans of this franchise feeling right at home. As doing something even as simple as saving your game requires you to use an 80s-esque futuristic datapad at a terminal in a live save capacity, very reminiscent of Alien Isolation, that really does add to the overall immersion to be experienced. Throughout this roughly 7 to 8 hour excursion, Alien Rogue Incursion sees Zula traversing throughout the massive GES facility, which has gone radio silent to the outside world and has seemingly been overtaken by multiple terrifying creatures, and the basic gameplay loop sees players going ever further into the facility, completing some sort of task to progress forward in the narrative, all the while minding your footsteps, as each and every sound made is an alert to the nearby aliens. And while you are provided with that patented location tracker that we all know from Alien Isolation, more than likely you will not end up needing it, as you will undoubtedly hear your enemies scurrying throughout the vents in the surrounding areas as you embark deeper into this mystery. Throughout your playthrough, gamers will simultaneously shift between unloading multiple rounds into admittedly easy to kill xenomorphs and trying to avoid the aptly named facehuggers from latching onto your skull. However, I will note that once you learn the 1 or 2 tricks that these guys have to offer, they, like the xenomorphs, are pretty damn easy to take down as well, albeit it is of note that these were very nicely designed in terms of both animation and character modeling. But this leads into easily the worst aspect of my experience with this one, the combat. The combat in Alien Rogue Incursion is flat and mundane, to be as frank as possible, and this is for a couple of different factors. Firstly, the weapon selection is pretty generic, with the pulse rifle not only being the best weapon of choice for almost every situation, but it's honestly the only weapon that feels like it belongs in the universe, as the revolver and the shotgun, this one's other 2 guns, feel very out of place and are just generally very boring to use as well. And to add to this dearth of selection is the elephant in the room with regards to Alien Rogue Incursion, which is the overall performance issues that persist during combat instances, as regardless of how low or high I had my various settings during my time with this one, there was a sharp and significant drop in both visual fidelity and frame rate integrity during combat, and I did not experience this in any other area or aspect of this game, which is a shame, especially when you consider how much stock the dev team put into making this one more of an action shooter experience. And while this wasn't game breaking and didn't stop my forward progress at all, I must say that I definitely was a bit disappointed with the overall quality of the gunplay at large, as outside of visual issues, the whole process of gun handling felt just a bit slow to respond in my personal opinion. But guys, it's not all doom and gloom with Alien Rogue Incursion, as fortunately this one was saved by some of VR's strongest voice acting to date, and the MVPs of MVPs that are the writing team behind this one, as the narrative journey taken by Zula and Davis is absolutely fantastic, with the depth, stakes presented, and overall emotion evoked, putting this one in the upper echelons of all VR narratives. And with the narrative being so strong, yet the combat being average to say the least, I will say that the 7 to 8 runtime, as mentioned earlier, was a smart choice here, as it never felt like Alien Rogue Incursion was really dragging on at all, and I hope that they learn some of these lessons for the part 2 that they have coming out, and just kind of touch it up, perhaps via some patches. Now, onto my favorite question when reviewing any title: how fun is this game? And overall, Alien Rogue Incursion is a ton of fun. However, it is certainly not without its flaws, and if I'm putting a very early number to this game, I'd say this is about a 6.9, as the multiple technical issues alongside very simplistic combat bog down what should be an amazing story driven by its compelling protagonist and the fantastic immersive elements provided both visually and via amazing sound design. Not to mention my disdain for the designation of this one being a part 1 title at the very last minute possible, after pre-orders and things of that nature have rolled in. And I know they've put out a couple of statements and they've apologized for the confusion and provided some clarification, but I think this really does speak more onto a larger issue that's kind of pervasive with regards to VR releases in general right now, but that's definitely something that I'll touch on at a later point in time. However, for the narrative and atmosphere alone, I'd put this game in play territory, as I would say that if you've really been waiting for this one and can live with mid-combat, buy it. But if you're more inclined to wait for further patches or perhaps a price drop, I get that as well. So that's all I have for you folks today. A big shout out to Survios for providing me a review copy for today's video. Let me know what you think about Alien Rogue Incursion in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I am Tooodamngolden, your VR Voyager, and thanks for joining me in the simulation inside the simulation. Thank you for watching.